The No Fate channel, checking in. On this episode of Dad's Home Gym, I'm going to be reviewing the difference between coated kettlebells and non-coated kettlebells, and I am going to specifically be reviewing these Yes4All coated kettlebells. So if this is your first time to the channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button down below. On this series, I review a piece of gym equipment, gym accessory, or just have a conversation about ways to make your home gym better in any way, shape, or form so that you are using it. It's great to have a home gym, but if you're not putting it to use, what good is it? So we're going to dive into kettlebells, a highly functional piece of equipment. And I like to call a kettlebell a cannonball with handles. Why? Because that's exactly what it is, and they don't break. There's really nothing to break on these. The only real way to break these is to simply mishandle them purposely, to simply drop them from a very high spot onto a very hard surface, and even then, they're probably not going to break unless they land at the absolute wrong angle. So let's talk about some of the differences between the coated and the non-coated. The first, biggest, and most obvious difference between the coated and the non-coated kettlebell is the vinyl/plastic covering you see here. Why would you want a vinyl/plastic covering? And the main reason is to prevent chips and scratches. Now, oftentimes at our home gyms, we tend to take a lot better care of our gym equipment. It gets used a lot less frequently, and we don't tend to slam stuff or bang stuff that often. So home kettlebells as a whole are going to take a lot less damage than those you see in your typical CrossFit box or even your local gym. But in general, you have this specific coating to prevent scratches. When do scratches or chips occur? When you are using these in tandem and they bump together. When you drop a kettlebell, even if it's from a small height, it tends to scratch or chip. Also, if you are putting it down heavily or if it's hitting a cement floor, you guys get the idea. It's usually not intentional, but it does happen. And over the course of a few years, the chips and scratches can add up. Does the vinyl coating last, and does the vinyl coating itself chip and scratch? So I have a 5-year-old kettlebell. This is a 20-pounder, but just to give you an idea, because this is coated, and hopefully you can see this, I'll put up some photos. And this has had minimal use. To be fair, again, anything that you get for your home gym, it's going to be minimal use compared to your local gym or a CrossFit gym where a kettlebell might get used 10 or 15 times a day. You'll be lucky if you use this kettlebell or any kettlebell maybe 5 times a week. So as you can see, you got some scratches, you got some dirt buildup, you got some real wear and tear at the bottom where it's sitting on the floor all the time. And it even has a few divots here and here and some good stains for just for that built-in look. But overall, after 5 years, the coating itself still maintained. Still, it's not chipping, it's not peeling, it's not cracking in terms of the coating. And just some normal wear and tear that might even be able to be washed off, or at least some of it with regards to, a simple degreaser, a little alcohol rub, and some TLC. Two minor differences between the coated versus the uncoated before I hit you with the cost differential, and they are weight. You would not think it, but in reality, the coated kettlebells weigh more than the uncoated, like for like. Keep in mind, most of these cheap kettlebells that you're buying, these budget kettlebells, which is what these are made in 1 or 2 foundries overseas. They make probably the predominant amount of these cheap kettlebells. They make them all standard, and then the coatings and whatnot are put on after the fact. So the kettlebells are 40 pounds as labeled, but the coating weighs 0.8 pounds. When I got these home, both of these weighed 40.8 pounds on the dot on my scale at home. So keep that in mind. Again, most of you not going to care about that whatsoever because the reality is they're still weighing the same. So if you do happen to use these in tandem at the same time, it's not going to matter. Now, another issue is with regards to how they sit on the floor. As you can see, a non-coated kettlebell has a square bottom or a relatively flat bottom, and it's going to sit, boom, really well, really smooth, really stable on the floor. Conversely, these coated kettlebells, because they need to hide the seam of this manufacturing of the coated portion of it, they have to hide it so you don't see it. They put it on the bottom, so hopefully you can get a good look. You see there's some bumps here on this one. And this is, again, where the seam is, and you have some bumps here on this one. And what that causes is that when they sit on the ground, they are going to sit fine. They're not going to topple over, but they're not going to nearly be as stable as the non-coated version. So again, you're going to get a little bit of rocking, not a big deal, but something to be noted of so that you know going into a purchase eyes wide open. So let's talk about cost. And of course, cost plays such a huge differentiator between any decision process when it comes to home gyms. Now, obviously, the heavier the kettlebell, the more it's going to cost. That goes with for all gym equipment, right? Kettlebells, dumbbells. But what's the difference between like for like 40-pound coated versus 40-pound uncoated? And the typical difference across the board is between $4 and $8 difference, whether it's for these Amazon Basics or this Yes4All Kettlebell. So to get this coat per kettlebell is going to be between $4 and $8. And if the coating is something you're interested in and you expect to own this for a long, long time, keep in mind these kettlebells are probably going to outlive you with respect to their function. I mean, this is still going to be a kettlebell in 100 years. These things are still going to be kettlebells. That $4 to $8 purchase price differential, not that big of a deal. Because in the long haul, if the vinyl coating is something you think you want, you think you're interested in, then I definitely think you shouldn't let that be a factor. But obviously, if you're on a tight budget and you've got to make some tough decisions, you're going to want to go with the uncoated. For me, if I had to pick one, and I'd certainly see pros and cons on both, if I had to pick one, I would go with the coated for a few reasons. Now, here's my thought process with regards to going with the coated. Number one, it does save on chips and scratches, okay? And I expect to have these for a long, long time, and I would like to keep these things from getting chipped and scratched. If you do have a basic kettlebell like this, that's nice steel, these can be repainted, these can be touched up, but it's a nuisance because these things are heavy, it takes time. And overall, I do like the fact that, once I get these, I'm not gonna have to necessarily worry about spray painting them every 3 or 4 years. And worst case scenario, 10 years from now, when everything's gone to heck with the outside coating, I could theoretically rip off this coating. It would take some work, and then I could spray paint these kettlebells, and they would still be smooth with regards to no chips and scratches because of the vinyl coating. Another reason I like these, if you do happen to have a lot of kettlebells, is that you can clearly see the weight on here. Okay, it's not crazy visible, but it's very, it's visible with the white against the blue. And they have different, and some places will have different coating colors for different weights, making them easier to identify. Whereas obviously you can see this is a 35-pound kettlebell. It's nice and shiny, you can see it, but this thing's brand new. So after a year or two, that shine's gonna wind down. It's gonna be even harder to see. And if you put this in a stack or a row of kettlebells that all look kind of the same, you're really gonna have to pay attention to which weight is which, whereas this, a little bit easier to just pick up, grab, and go. So those are the reasons that I would go with vinyl over steel. Another difference with regards to the Yes4All coated versus the Amazon Basic. Now, this is not necessarily a difference between vinyl versus, coated versus uncoated. It's a difference between these models. I just want to mention is that the handle size is a little bit thinner on the handle, just slightly, just enough to notice between the Amazon Basic version here. Now that we've talked about the differences between coated versus uncoated, I want to know from you which you prefer. Do you prefer the coated or the uncoated? Drop it in the comments below. Now let's talk about, or let's do a quick review of this Yes4All kettlebell, why I went with these versus the Amazon Basics. And I'm going to tell you right now, the reason I went with these versus the Amazon Basics is that they shipped first. Fair enough, that's the only reason. They came in inventory and they shipped first. I was looking for a budget, and I do mean budget kettlebell. And to be honest with you, Yes4All and Amazon Basics are the best budget you can get, especially if you buy them on Amazon for a few reasons. You tend to get free shipping. Also, you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee because they're guaranteed through Amazon. And on top of that, Amazon does a very good job in terms of backing up their products in general, in terms of what they sell. So if you do have any major issues and you're not getting any headway with regards to the seller, you can call Amazon up and they're probably going to make it right once you get through to customer service. So which company is cheaper when it comes to kettlebells, Yes4All or Amazon Basics? Comparing like for like, and the real answer from my research is that it all depends on the time of the day. Amazon prices do fluctuate. Not much, but they do fluctuate slightly, but based on inventory, based on sales. And from my experience looking at these, they tend to flip-flop back and forth. Just a few dollars difference between Yes4All being cheaper than Amazon Basics and vice versa. Overall, if you're really on a budget and you're looking to save the most money amount possible, check them both, figure out which one's going to be cheaper, and go that route. With regards to should you buy budget kettlebells, for me, I've had really good luck with them. I haven't had any issues, and again, it's a home gym. You're not going to be using them nearly as much as a local gym would be, and it's a cannonball with handles. There's not much to break. I mean, this Amazon Basic, when I weighed it, weighed 35 pounds, and these Yes4Alls weighed 40.8 pounds, as I already mentioned. I don't think you're going to go wrong filling up your home gym with basic budget kettlebells, whether it's the Yes4All or the Amazon Basic. Listen, if you've got questions regarding these Yes4All kettlebells or these Amazon Basic kettlebells, any questions regarding kettlebells, drop them in the comments below and I will get them answered as quickly as I can. If you've come this far in the video, do me a favor, give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, for sure hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you shop on Amazon, if you've ever heard of Amazon.com and you happen to shop there, do me a favor, click on the affiliate links in the description of this video. How does that work? You click on the link, you buy whatever you were going to buy anyway, and I get a small, and I do mean small, percentage of your purchase. It's better in my pockets keeping these lights on rather than in Amazon's pockets. I mean, I don't think they're really hurting for money. And it goes a long, long way in supporting the channel and making sure, giving me reasons to keep doing these videos and hopefully provide you information for free. If you came this far in the video, as usual, thanks for watching and don't save anything for the trip back. I am dedicated to helping you be a great parent to your children and still accomplish your own personal goals. I provide ideas and insights to help you save time, money, and your sanity. 3 things that are in short supply for every parent out there.